This is breaking news from Local 3 News.
Responding to a mass casualty incident, a vehicle ran through a crowd of people. There's multiple injuries, multiple casualties. Denise Canal and Bourbon.
We begin with breaking news out of New Orleans. The Sugar Bowl has been postponed until tomorrow night because of the terror attack that killed 10 people and left dozens injured. I'm Cindy Sexton. The suspect who was killed by police has been identified as Samsudin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen born in Texas and an Army veteran. The FBI says an ISIS flag was found in the truck he was driving. It was rented. Louisiana's governor has issued an emergency declaration to get federal and state resources together. One of the victims who was killed has been identified as a graduate of St. Thomas More Catholic High School in Louisiana. The FBI says Jabbar intentionally rammed a pickup truck into a crowd during New Year's celebrations. City officials say he managed to navigate the barriers by driving on the sidewalk. He shot at police officers when he crashed, and they fired back. 2 officers were injured. They're in stable condition. The FBI is investigating the attack as an act of terrorism. A potential IED was in the truck, and 2 IEDs were located in the French Quarter, but are now neutralized. Witnesses described the horrifying scene as the man drove through a busy street and avoided police.
I remember the screeching and him gunning the car and the impact and the screams. Like I said, the screams of those girls. I mean, yeah, I don't know that I'll be able to forget that.
President Biden told reporters he is waiting to hear all the facts. The FBI is asking anyone who may have interacted with Jabbar in the last 72 hours to contact them with any information. Now, our team is spread out, bringing you team coverage of the terrorist investigation. We'll get to Cornelia Nicholson in just a minute with local fans who traveled for the Sugar Bowl. First, though, Ben Bobick joins us live from New Orleans. He'll have to wait one more day for the Sugar Bowl. Ben, can you take us through what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, Cindy, you nailed it. We're going to have to wait one more day for the Sugar Bowl, that game being postponed a day. And it's been a pretty surreal scene here this morning and all day today. Really, you wake up in your bed thinking, okay, I'm going to cover a football game. And now here we are in front of quite the scene down here in New Orleans. To be very frank with you guys, where we're standing right now is no more than a 5-minute walk from where the media is set up in our hotel. I mean, again, to be very blunt as well, I mean, KJ Simpson, our photojournalist, and myself, we were on Bourbon Street last night, just before midnight, just after midnight Eastern and just before midnight Central. We saw the scene of hordes of people that were supposed to be celebrating a new year, ringing in 2025, and waking up to some somber news here. It really is just it makes you put a lot of things in perspective, especially when something like this happens. And fortunately for us, we were asleep when everything went down. I woke up to a phone call from one of our morning producers who said, hey, making sure we're okay, this is what's going down in New Orleans. And I immediately got up and looked out my window, and you could see that Canal Street was pretty much clear from our perspective, and you could tell that there was an active scene really going on. But let me step out of the view here to give you a look here. Now, this is the intersection of Bourbon Street in Canal Street here in downtown New Orleans, where the driver had turned on to Bourbon Street, and this is where we were a little bit earlier in the day as well, chatting with people. We were able to talk with some local fans who, like you mentioned, were in town for the Sugar Bowl. We talked to plenty of people that were out and about during when this happened, some local media members who have and whatnot. So just a really surreal scene here, and we'll be hanging out here for much of the evening and providing you a lot more coverage and a lot more on how some people took in the news and what they were doing throughout the evening. But live in New Orleans, Ben Bobick, Local 3 News.
And thank you. It does put it in perspective, and we're glad you and KJ are safe. One victim of the attack was a University of Georgia student. The university's president says the student was critically injured and receiving medical treatment. Now, he has spoken to the family of the student and shared his support. Many Georgia fans are in New Orleans, of course. Local 3's Cornelia Nicholson continues our team coverage with reaction from some of them. Cornelia.
Yeah, Cindy, like you said, many Tennessee Valley residents traveled to New Orleans to support the Georgia Bulldogs in the Sugar Bowl. And as you can imagine, it's a terrifying feeling being so close to a mass casualty scene, like Ben said. Now, the locals we talked with say they had no idea they would be waking up to a tragedy on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve celebrations in the Sugar Bowl typically create a jam-packed party in New Orleans. Patrick Hickey is one of the many residents that flocked to the Big Easy to support the Georgia Bulldogs. He says he went to bed right before the incident happened and woke up to his phone flooded with text messages from family and friends checking in on him.
I don't even know what's going on. I turn on the TV and the local news down here, they were talking about what was going on. And I have a lot of friends down here and just, checking in with them, making sure they're okay, making sure they weren't down there.
Hearing about the attack has raised a lot of questions and uneasiness. Despite his concerns, he plans to still go to the game, but will stay on alert. Hickey says he's staying hopeful that families back home can get in touch with other locals who are in New Orleans for the game, and he's keeping New Orleans, those killed and injured, in mind tonight.